Manerovar, how cooked do we honestly think the Elder Scrolls is? It's in Hammerfell, which is a purely DEI location at this point. Its name is Sentinel. We're 99% sure it's Sentinel. If it turns out to not be Sentinel, I would be honestly surprised. And it's the most generic name ever possible, honestly, which is crazy. Bethesda has never really been good at a unique and creative decision making in things. Their strength historically has always been just taking something that everyone understands, something relatively generic, and just making it into somehow a good experience overall. So, Sentinel does fit the genericity part here, but I mean, that's a little bit generic even for Bethesda at this point, if I have to be honest. And we could literally be playing as a Red Guard historic figure that comes in time of crises. The Hammerfell stories are gonna be gutted, and it's probably gonna be about racism. Okay, listen, it's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. If you know anything about the Hammerfall setting and the problems that they have religiously, politically, and all of those types, modern Bethesda literally will never be able to handle it. I mean, we're talking about the people who made, whose greatest creative decision in Starfield was introducing a character that's a clone of a male scientist that's female. Yes, that was literally the peak part of writing Starfield. It's sad. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is not looking good.
First thing to note is that in Asha Sharma's tweet, she put out a number of asterisks. She said that she saw a gameplay demo of The Elder Scrolls 6, asterisk, asterisk, and then did that for a very specific number of times, which could have been random, could have been intentional, but it was interesting that then further social media posts made by other people also had the same number of asterisks. Could have just copy and pasted her post, or it could be coordinated. Make up your mind as you will, but the point is people saw that there's a certain number of asterisks listed, and then they use that to...
So, this is intentional. We know this has to be intentional, because Bethesda currently is under the changed leadership of Asha Sharma of Xbox, doing a lot of promotions. And, you know, this involves stuff like this. If this is random, I mean... oh boy, if this was actually not premeditated by them, that is crazy.
Assume the number of characters in the subtitle of the game. And the reason why it's important to know the subtitle of The Elder Scrolls 6 is because typically when Bethesda does a subtitle, it gives you a pretty good indication of what the either subject matter of the game is going to be, or in the case of Skyrim, where it's going to be set. So then people took...
it's almost like that's what the names of things are supposed to do. Crazy, honestly.
Look, the fact that there were 8 characters allegedly in the subtitle of the game, and then they took that and started to look back through old leaks or other pieces of information that could indicate what the subtitle is based on 8 total.
I mean, this is like a 6 out of 10 stick at best, in my honest opinion.
Total characters and no spaces because it looks like it's just one word. Before long, a user by the name of Starfield November posted to the Elder Scrolls 6 subreddit, and it was just simply a post of something shown in the Starfield Direct from 2023. And in that post, it's just a string of numbers, 16 numbers to be exact, and those 16 numbers are supposed to be like the employee ID number, effectively. It's expected that it's just randomly generated, and that's what a lot of people thought. But I remember back in 2023, in the lead up to Starfield, the fandom was crazy hyped and trying to figure out every little Easter egg they could in the game. And they found that if you took each of those numbers, if you broke up the 16 digits into 2-digit chunks, and then you corresponded those numbers with a letter in the alphabet out of all the letters, and then you tally it up and spell it out, it ends up spelling out Sentinel. And at the time...
whoa, that is so crazy. And if you flip it backwards, it says Lenitness. Whoa! Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. This could have honestly been random because again, it's just so unbelievably generic. The more interesting thing is, well, that's gonna be for tomorrow. But there is a video that claims that the Sentinel, the next Elder Scrolls 6 game was teased in Elder Scrolls Online years ago, which is kind of a wild thing to say, but that's for tomorrow, okay? We're just sliding in.
And at the time, back in 2023, it was thought that this was a hint as to like the bad guys in Starfield, or the faction, the name of the bad guy faction,
Or maybe it's just a reference to the X-Men.
or something like that. It wasn't thought that it was a hint at anything else. But you'll notice Sentinel is 8 letters long. And people are looking at it going, oh, that could work. What if that was a hint for the subtitle of The Elder Scrolls 6? I'm gonna be honest, this one...
I still like the idea that Elder Scrolls 6 name is Starfall, and it's in Iliag Bay.
I don't blame people for like not realizing it was Elder Scrolls related. It's in a Starfield Direct. I think it's fair to assume that that would be for Starfield, you know? So I don't feel bad for people missing that, because it does, I mean, it lines up. And the term Sentinel is not one to be disregarded quickly. I mean, you could say maybe it was referring to something in Starfield, because there were plenty of things labeled Sentinel in Starfield. But
I think that's actually what in reality happened, by the way. I do not believe that these people had enough foresight for anything like this.
where it stops seeming like a coincidence is with a former developer. You see, there was a writer on the Elder Scrolls series for a long time named Michael Kirkbride, and he actually is still active on Reddit. I'm surprised they haven't like given him the swat on the wrist, because he like talks about Elder Scrolls pretty frequently. And he specifically said in response to somebody saying Sentinel as an answer to the question, what is the subtitle of Elder Scrolls 6 going to be? He simply replied, yep. Okay, well, to me, it seems like that might confirm it. You know, one of the writers, one of the people that knows what the subtitle is, at least what it was a few years ago, he says, yeah, that's the subtitle. And that would align with the Starfield leak, Easter egg, whatever you want to call it. Seems like Sentinel is the subtitle. And then you add on to it a bunch.
By the way, the reason why this is believable is very simple, because that guy was a writer for a very long time in Bethesda. So, needless to say, they didn't actually figure out what the name of the game is gonna be like in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, or whatever you want to claim Elder Scrolls 6 has been in development. These options, and the most likely option, has been probably floating around since after Skyrim. People probably talked, speculated, and whatnot, because I mean, you're a writer and whatnot. What are you gonna do if not right? What are you gonna do if you're not gonna speculate ideas that could be done? So the fact that this guy who no longer works in Bethesda says yep on this is actually pretty good evidence, because he would most likely be in the know. Now, granted, maybe he's not 100% in the know any longer, obviously, but even if the project was not started, he would still probably, kind of be able to figure it out after he left and whatnot.
Bunch of other little bitty things, like for example, in one of the Starfield trailers, there's like a scratch on the windowsill. And if you look close, it looks like a map that roughly corresponds with the area we'll be talking about in a second.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. I saw that. That's not random.
In the continent. So like it lines up and it makes sense, but there's a lot of reasons to think so. It's just that these 2 reasons are probably the biggest ones. But okay, let's say that the title is actually The Elder Scrolls 6 Sentinel. What does that actually tell us? What can we do with that information? Or is it just like an exercise in futility? Well, there actually are a few things we can take from that. I also just realized that I am literally touching grass. as we go through this. Kind of beautifully poetic when you think about it, really. I mean,
is it?
I should do this more often. I feel grounded. I feel less irrational. This is crazy. I have the urge to close Twitter off my phone. What is happening? Well, to just read you a little bit from the wiki, Sentinel is one of the 9 major kingdoms of the province of Hammerfell, which has long been rumored to be the location and like hub for the Elder Scrolls 6. There's many reasons for this. There's leaks, there's rumors and speculation, but also like just anecdotally, if we look at like individual instances, the Elder Scrolls Online has gone to countless areas of like the Elder Scrolls available map effectively. And the one area that they have not really touched and have steered clear of is like the overwhelming majority of Hammerfell. Like they just don't mess with it. It's a pretty big area on the map. It's pretty like diverse in terms of biomes with like a lot of rolling hills and ocean and like coastal areas and deserts and stuff. It seems like a place you would expect them to go, and they have just not touched it. And I'm guessing that's because they've known for a decade that that's where the next mainline game is going to be set, so it makes sense, but there's that. It's the capital of both the Alakir Desert region and the Murkwasa region of the Alakir. I'm going to apologize for the mispronunciations. I'm American. Well,
Please do apologize for the mispronunciations of fictional fucking places. Please do.
what did you expect? I mean, this is what you get. Dude, speak.
Again, Luke is like 5 minutes away from why I hate America video, just like Lon. It's great. It's great.
Speaking of, I had somebody in the elevator, thick Scottish accent, loved it. It was awesome. And she like
That's racist.
was asking me where I'm from and everything as we're like riding down to get breakfast in the hotel. And she said that she loved my accent. What? I have never in my life had somebody say they like my accent. It was weird. It was weird. Do Scottish people like American accents?
Last time someone tried to guess which accent I have, they said, "Are you Scottish or Indian?" Do I look Scottish? Like, what the hell? What bruh? What?
What is happening? I had never in my life experienced that. I think of Americans liking British accents or liking Scottish accents or this or that. I've never in my life heard of a Scot liking an American accent. It was weird. I didn't know what to do with it. I just kind of went, I had nothing to say.
Basic human behaviors. Odd, yes.
Anyway, continuing on, it is also considered to be the guardian of the Iliac Bay and has been the safe haven of the Western world through the eras. Sentinel has been the modern capital of Hammerfell ever since the Interregnum and the Tiber War. It is also the capital of the Forebears, one of Hammerfell's political factions. Sentinel itself is located in the northern peninsula of the kingdom overlooking the Iliac Bay. The city is rather large and well fortified from the east, and the Sentinel Bazaar is located on the lower end of Sentinel, underneath the bridge dividing the north and south end. The Sentinese Bazaar is one of the largest markets on this side of the Iliac, going across.
The Sentinese Bazaar. Oh no, this has got to be a modern thing. There's no way someone previously said the Sentinese Bazaar. There's no way.
The Sentinel Canal and eventually the Sentinel outskirts. East of the bazaar leads into the eastern harbor of the Sentinel called the Wayfarer's Wharf. There are ruins of...
But why are you repeating Sentinel after everything? We understand. The description of the Sentinel City is gonna be the description of the Sentinel City. You don't have to mention that every part of the Sentinel City is a part of Sentinel City. Fire someone!
Ancient Sentinel underneath the modern city, which is where the Sentinel Outlaws Refuge is located. North Sentinel expands from the western harbor to the Forge. The Sentinel Square is located on the northern end of the bridge and houses the Sisters of the Sand.
There has to be a 4chan green post summarizing this pain I'm feeling.
In South Sentinel is the home of nobility as well as Semaruik, the Palace of Sentinel built by Grandi Yagub during the Ragada invasion. Again, I'm just going to apologize for the mispronunciations. I'm doing my best. And if you're interested, I recommend that you read through these like lore pages because it's been mentioned in like previous Elder Scrolls games and literature and books and stuff. There's plenty to learn about it, and you can even start to kind of piece together what it's going to look like as you play through it. But there are some key takeaways. Number one is that Sentinel...
It's going to have a lot of George Floyd references. That's what we're going to have, okay? It's going to be not a lot of percents of fatherhood in the family, okay? It's going to be great, boys.
Is massive. It is a huge city, and it's also very...
There's going to be a lot of beggars. That's right, boys. A lot of beggars.
Vibrant. It's like, it's a big undertaking.
hard times, okay? And there's gonna be missions to smuggle fentanyl, I assume.
And I'm gonna be honest, given the limitations of the creation engine as we understand it, which I think for most people is the biggest like question mark with this game, I'm worried. I'm gonna be honest, because
He's worried. He's tired.
historically the way Bethesda does cities is with little bitty like micro districts, which are effectively each of the little sandboxes that you can go and explore. And so even with like Neon, which is supposed to be this epic, huge sort of cyberpunk city, in the concept art, it's
Remember when Starfield came out, said that, whoa, look at Neon. This is so better than Cyberpunk 2077. Wow, Neon. It was pathetic.
big, epic, and vast. It looks very Night City-esque. And then in the final game, it is minuscule. In fact, we actually did a video, probably at this point a couple of years ago, where I downloaded a bunch of mods for Starfield to see if I could fix the game or make it significantly better with the help of modders. And
yeah, this is supposed to be Cyberpunk 2077. You know, this is supposed to make it feel bad.
what I found was that it didn't really help that much, but there were mods that were entirely designed around making Starfield closer to the concept art and like removing a lot of the technological restrictions. So like Neon originally had 100, 200 foot ceilings. They ended up getting rid of that for Neon and it ended up like really claustrophobic because they brought all the ceilings down. It just was kind of frustrating. And that's what I'm thinking of. When I look at like the descriptions of Sentinel and the descriptions of what the map would need to be like, the whole time I'm like, bro, if this is one of those things where it's like, the Grand Bazaar and it's 4 shops divided by
God, I hope it is. I really hope it is, okay? I'm not expecting anything good from Elder Scrolls 6. I'm expecting massive disappointments. So, you know, at this point, the worse it is, the better I honestly will feel. Again, Fallout 5, dead. Whatever Obsidian's making with Fallout, dead on arrival. And Elder Scrolls 6, Todd Howard's last hurrah before he officially retires, is also fucking dead. So at this point, I mean, I want it to be as bad as possible. I want it to be unforgettably possible. The worst thing, honestly, any of these games can do is be mid. That is really the tragedy. When we get something that's not fun enough, but could have been actually good. There's no world where this is gonna be good, so I hope that this is gonna be as trash as it gets. Hire Anita! Hire Zoe Quinn. Let's get a party rolling. Let's get it started in here. Okay? Let's get Kanye West to do some... No, actually, wait, let's not get Kanye West to do... Or we should, actually, based... Oh yeah, it's gonna be an experience. I want this to be as bad as possible. I want to hear already how some... game developer who's making Elder Scrolls 6 can't handle the stress and is crashing out. Okay, I want it to be bad at this point.
3 load screens, I'm gonna crash out. I'm just being real. Like it's really hard to feel like you're embarking on an epic, vast adventure when it is so far behind the curve technologically. It's just.
By the way, the stalls is a great example, by the way, because I feel we don't talk about how bad Bethesda is at understanding what makes games fun. For example, when it comes to Starfield, they actually took to heart the complaints that people had about Skyrim, the fact that the Grand Trading District is like 3 houses and 3 traders, which it was. So, with Starfield, what did they do? They added a bunch of traders that none of them sold anything useful or good. That they were useless. They were there and they were effectively just decoration. But they were traders. Okay? Instead of 3 traders, now you had like 20. And all of them were useless. Okay? So, Bethesda doesn't understand these things. They don't know how to make something good.
Frustrating, but there is potentially like light at the other end of the tunnel. We do know that Todd and all of those guys are very aware that this is probably the biggest question mark for a lot of fans, and that a lot of their audience is worried about the technological limitations. And so they know what they have to do. Like, they understand the mandate. I think the setting sounds interesting. I think they have a lot of potential. Seeing that there's a lot of like waterways, that there's potentially canals, there's a big harbor, there's a lot of shipments that go in and out. They have the opportunity to do things like ships and like shipping, where you could actually have a ship of your own and sail it up.
Isn't this a speculation that we pretty much have confirmed the idea that they're gonna have ships and whatnot? Because they have to have vehicles in Elder Scrolls 6. We know that because Starfield has vehicles, which means, I mean, Elder Scrolls 6 has to have vehicles. Remember, Todd Howard and Phil Spencer were literally talking that Starfield Shattered Space was not a big hit because they revealed the buggy too early. Yes, I wish I was making that up, but that's legit how bad things are. Yeah.
Up and down the coast, delivering goods or just to get to different objectives. That would be really freaking cool, especially if they brought the like ship customization tech from Starfield, which I still insist is phenomenal, and they brought that over to like custom.
It's bad. I don't know what's the deal with these people. So many people are actually unironically saying the ship customization and stuff. It's shit. It is barely usable. Like, what is the deal with these people actually like saying this stuff? I don't even know.
Customize the inside of your ship. That could be super cool. That could be super cool. With the big city, they have the potential for like a living, breathing, dynamic city. Think of what like Warhorse did with Gutenberg, for example, where they had 1,400 NPCs in that city alone, simulated with daily routine.
Hips.
And activities, walking to and from work, heading to bed. Like, it could feel so alive and so amazing and cool. But that's the tricky thing. Is like Gutenberg in KCD2 is significantly smaller than what Sentinel is supposed to be. And I cannot imagine BGS of 2026 making even Gutenberg with that level of dynamism and free flow exploration and interactivity. And I just hope I'm wrong. You know, I hope I'm wrong. I read through this stuff and I get excited by it, as I'm sure many of you do. You clicked on this video after all. But people ask me all the time, they're like, Luke, why do you talk about BGS so much if you very rarely
Because it gives money.
Have nice things to say? And I always say, like, it's because
I mean, but seriously, because it gives money. Like, this is a re-upload because the first video bugged out on YouTube and it didn't make the view. This is why Luke re-uploads videos constantly because there is this thing on YouTube that sometimes you just don't get the initial views, and if you re-upload it, maybe it gets higher, and YouTube pretty much determines how many views a video is going to get in the first minute of it launching. So deleting videos and re-uploading them in hopes that your initial view count is better is actually a legit strategy.
I'm a fan, dumbass. Like, I want them to make amazing games, and I want them to be at like the cutting edge technologically. I want them to show everybody how it's done, because they used to do that. Like that high we used to.
Unironically, I would also want this, Elder Scrolls 6 to be good. I would like Fallout games to be better. But, that's a small difference in opinion, I guess. Doesn't matter which one you like. We probably all want things to be the best they are. But in this case, I mean, I have accepted the reality. Most people watching this also have accepted the reality that Elder Scrolls 6 is just not going to be good. That Fallout is just not going to be good. We're going to get disasters, so I hope we're going to get a Nida Sarkeesian level of disasters, because that would at least be funny. Again, the most heartbreaking thing that can happen with any of these Bethesda titles is the game being mid. It really is just the game being mid.
To feel, and that I felt when I played like Skyrim for the first time, and it's just this sense of awe and wonder and free flow exploration. Same with like Fallout 3, Oblivion. Like, these are amazing games. And then Fallout 4, solid but a very different kind of game. And then like we just hit Fallout 76 and we hit frickin' Starfield and everything else they've done with the mobile games. It lost the magic for me. I feel like it became more about building a product than an experience. And you can start to feel that in games like Starfield and Fallout 76, where it becomes more about paid mods, it becomes more about creations, it becomes more about the in-game store spending.
Oh, then the game store is going to be great. By the way, there's no multiplayer in Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout because that would interfere with the multiplayer aspect of the game.
Atoms on this.
Not that I'm an idiot. Ignore that last time because it would interfere with the creation's sales.
And that. And I just hope that Elder Scrolls 6 is not that. I really hope that this is like a return to form and it's Todd going, I still got it.
The irony of him using the words return to form is not lost on any of us, I would say. We all know what return to form means. One of the horsemen of the apocalypse. Dragon Age, the Veil God. In any case, that was Luke Steffens. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye.